This recording was produced by Oregon Trail Baptist Church. If you'd like to get more recordings, or to leave your feedback, please visit us at www.otbchurch.com or write us at P.O. Box 298, Guernsey, Wyoming 82214. We look forward to hearing from you, and we hope that today's recording will not just challenge your thinking, but will transform your life.
Let's try to finish the book of Numbers. How about that? We haven't done Numbers for a long time. Elizabeth, can you come help me hand out some handouts? We have been... Now, technically, this is not a series on the book of Numbers. It's a series on Moses. But I think I'm going to skip the book of Deuteronomy. We're going to do the book of Numbers and then just jump to... something else at that point. So to bring you back up to speed, from a long time ago, we were towards the end, last chunk of the book of Numbers, dealing with they're preparing to enter into the promised land. In chapter 33, there was a review of the journey. Chapter 34, they divided up the land again. Let me turn off the paragraph markers. That's just distracting. There we go. In chapter 35, they set aside special cities, the Levitical cities and the cities of refuge. And in chapter 36, we have this inheritance of Zelophehad's daughters. And you're like, I thought we covered that. Yes, we did. But there's some nuanced things that kind of come up as a result of that. So, these chapters are God is pledging to his people. He's going to give them victory over their enemies. But he's going to give them the land. He's going to give them. They're going to have be made holy by the dwelling of the Levites within their land, scattered through their land, and lastly that they will hold this land forever. So let's jump into Numbers 36. I better get turned there myself. It's a fairly short chapter of Numbers. We read in verses 1 to 4, And the chief fathers of the families of the children of Gilead, the son of Machir, the son of Manasseh, of the families of the son of Joseph, came near and spake before Moses and before the princes, the chief fathers of the children of Israel. And they said, The Lord commanded my Lord to give the land for an inheritance by lot to the children of Israel. And my Lord was commanded by the Lord to give the inheritance of Zelophehad our brother unto his daughters. And if they be married to any of the sons of the other tribes of the children of Israel, then shall their inheritance be taken from the inheritance of our fathers, and shall be put to the inheritance of the tribe whereunto they are received. So shall it be taken from the lot of our inheritance. And when the jubilee of the children of Israel shall be, then shall their inheritance be put unto the inheritance of the tribe whereunto they are received, so that their inheritance be taken away from the inheritance of the tribe of our fathers. What's the problem here? Patches is a good way to put it. So I put a map here, and let's zoom in and just do a hypothetical here, okay? So let's say someone from the tribe of Ephraim, living in this area, let's say they marry a girl from the tribe of Manasseh, from over here, okay? And this girl, let's say, she doesn't have any brothers, so she's the one to inherit the land from Manasseh. Well, if she marries this Ephraimite, the land inheritance will now go to his tribe and his family. So now you have a spot here in West Manasseh that is part of Ephraim. Because do you see how this can lead to the whole nation of Israel would be checkered with like land allotment starting to change and, go to tribe from tribe. Think of it, do big businesses tend to have a bigger push or sway over the little guy? Often they have advantages. So you have more people marrying. It'd be easy for certain tribes to slowly engulf the land of Israel and just push out other tribes. Okay? And the year of Jubilee wouldn't fix this because they had married into other clans. So this is a problem that has developed. Now, was this a fault of Zelophehad or his daughters? Did they do anything wrong to get into this position? No. Back in, I think it's chapter 27, where this is dealt with, it wasn't, Zelophehad had done nothing wrong. It makes it very clear, not that he wasn't a sinner, we're not saying that. He wasn't involved in Korah's rebellion. He wasn't involved in these big rebellions. He died, but he didn't have a son to carry on. Moses inquired of the Lord. The Lord's instruction was, yes, the daughters can have the inheritance, but this is a problem that's resulted from that. Now, what are the people doing at this point? They've noticed a problem, so who do they take it to? Yeah, they're taking it to Moses, and they're seeking the Lord as to what he will do. I have a summary at the bottom of that page of the handout. So if there's no sons to inherit the land, and the inheritance gets given to the daughters, and the daughters marry outside the clan, then the tribal allotment will be taken away over time, the patchwork thing we were talking about. This is what they want to avoid. So we have Moses' response, verse 5. And Moses commanded the children of Israel according to the word of the Lord, saying, the tribe of the sons of Joseph has said well. He acknowledges their point. Okay? Is any law perfect? No. He's acknowledging their point. Also, I think it's important to note that Moses here, it sounds like it's coming from him, but it says here, according to the word of the Lord. So I'm assuming here that Moses has conversed with the Lord about this problem, but some restrictions are added as far as who these daughters of Zelophehad can marry, and future women in this problem, how they are to handle it. Verse 6 we read, this is the thing which the Lord doth command concerning the daughters of Zelophehad, saying, let them marry whom they think best, only to the family of the tribe of their fathers shall they marry. So now they've had this restriction. Verse 7, so shall not the inheritance of the children of Israel remove from tribe to tribe. Okay, so we're not wanting this patchwork effect across the nation. For every one of the children of Israel shall keep himself to the inheritance of the tribe of his fathers. And every daughter that possesseth an inheritance in the tribe of the children of Israel shall shall be wife unto one of the family of the tribe of her father, that the children of Israel may enjoy every man the inheritance of his father. So again, there's concern that this stays within the tribe. Verse 9, neither shall the inheritance remove from one tribe to another, but every one of the tribes of the children of Israel shall keep himself to his own inheritance. I think verse 9 is giving us the big picture principle of what we're trying to avoid. With verse 9, if other situations were coming up that you would say, land allotments could get changed or manipulated this way, I think verse 9 is giving you a principle that what has been given to these various tribes, we don't want this changing. We want to keep, everybody has their area, their portion. We don't want one tribe extorting another. Comments, questions so far? All right, so in verse 10 we move on with verses 10 to 12 are more just the details of this appendix, this add-on to the law being carried out. We read, even as the Lord commanded Moses, so did the daughters of Zelophehad, for Mahlah and Tirzah and Hoglah and Milcah and Noah, which apparently that's a female name too. I'm thinking of Noah and the ark, and that is not the same Noah, were the daughters of Zelophehad, were married unto their father's brother's son. And they were married into the families of the sons of Manasseh, the sons of Joseph, and their inheritance remained in the tribe of the family of their father. I want to stop and note something here. We would have no idea who this Zelophehad was if it wasn't for his 5 courageous daughters. They were in this pickle. Zelophehad is dead. They approach Moses and the Lord with the problem. It was a pretty courageous act to do, and God honored that request. Here, more details are working out to that end. But I do want to apply this. Our actions and choices impact other people. Was it wrong? Would it have been wrong, in general, for one of these daughters to marry somebody from another tribe? Was that inherently wrong? No. But would that marriage create problems with their tribe and clan? It could. So it wasn't that it was intrinsically evil or wrong. And if I'm not mistaken, we seem to have throughout Israel, there's some intermarriage between some of the tribes anyway. And I don't know that that's seen as a bad thing. However, when it comes to land allotments, and it comes to if you don't have a brother who's going to inherit this land, and there's nobody within your family who's going to inherit it, you're limited on who you can marry. Do you see how this kind of works? And so our choices in life impact people around us. And sometimes the choice may not be something that's necessarily wicked and sinful, and it might be okay for somebody else to do it, but in the position of life we're in, or where God's called us, it may not be the best option. And it may not be what God has for us. So that's just one short little application I thought we'd put with that. Comments, questions before we close out the book with the last verse here? Yeah. Yes, yeah. Yeah. Women, especially in the Old Testament, tend to be viewed as having, the ones that we see, be very bold in their actions. Can you think of any Old Testament women who are very bold, not brash, but definitely stepping out of their comfort zone and acting on God's behalf? Andrew? Okay. Deborah? Yep. Esther? Yeah. Ruth? We're going to get to that one soon. So, how about Moses' wife? When God's about to kill Moses, she's the one who steps in and fixes the problem. And that's kind of like an awkward story, but yeah, so we have these different characters in Scripture. The Old Testament definitely views women with a lot higher regard than the nations around them, but they're leading towards, I think we see a higher even evaluation of women in the New Testament. So, anyway, God is working with His people where they are and drawing them to where He wants them to be. The book closes with this verse. These are the commandments and the judgments which the Lord commanded by the hand of Moses unto the children of Israel in the plains of Moab by Jordan near Jericho. The end. Okay. Now, I want to stop here and think. Why do you think the book of Numbers ends with this story of Zelophehad and his daughters, and boop, it's done? We have this emphasis on tribal allotments. We have this problem of a possibility of a gap in the tribe of Manasseh if these daughters get married off and the land goes to someone else. We have concern about the land of Jubilee and that the land wouldn't be returned to the owners. But why is this how the book of Numbers ends? Any thoughts? Mm-hmm. Right. Yes. So it's a selective history, as it were. And I think throughout the book of Numbers, there's been, I didn't highlight it maybe so well, but there's this ups and downs of like God gives some more instruction, and then the people don't obey, or they grumble and complain. And God gives some more instructions, and the people don't obey. This constant back and forth. This isn't the national history you would always want to have. Okay, but God has preserved this for us for a reason, and this way for a reason. Any other thoughts as to why this might be how it ends out the book? I'm sorry? Sure, and it's going to connect into the book of Deuteronomy. There are some critical scholars who think this was just way later and just tacked on later as like an appendix to the book. But see, I think they're missing a major point. And often when you're in biblical books, it's good to stop, take a step back, look at the book's beginning and end, and go, is there anything here? I noted here, and others have noted, so it's not like I'm being smart or anything. The book of Numbers closes with these commandments, but how did it start? We had the organization of the camp. The people get numbered. They're all set in order. The order is established. We have God and His tabernacle as the center of God working with His people. How the camp will be laid out, all those details we covered a long time ago, are started at the beginning of Numbers. And we have God, His presence is in their midst, in the middle of their camp, and His holiness is there. He is holy, and they are to live as holy people, welcoming God's presence as the embodied, as manifest there in the center of the camp. All this organization happens. Then as we move through the book of Numbers, I kind of threw some of that stuff off, didn't I? They traveled from Sinai to Paran, and in the wilderness of Paran, what happens there? Anybody remember? I know this is testing your memory. It's been a long time. They rebel. They rebel at Kadesh Barnea. They refuse to enter the land. As a result, 40 years of wandering so this generation can die off is what's going to happen. We also have another rebellion that takes place, and that's in chapters 20 with Moses and Aaron, where Moses strikes the rock. Now, again, there's another rebellion with Aaron and Miriam, but Moses and Aaron have been leaders. Moses strikes the rock when he's supposed to speak to it, and Moses and Aaron are both punished for, in a sense, taking credit. Must we bring water out of this rock for you? So they overstep their bounds, and they're not allowed to enter into the promised land. And then the last section, if you remember going through that weird section with Balaam and the donkey, and here we have God is blessing His people without them knowing it. Balaam is up on this hill with Balak, the king and they're trying to curse Israel, but God is blessing them. Meanwhile, we're reading the stories of the rebellion and all the problems down in the camp. God is faithful to bless His people, but there's a new generation, and this new generation will be organized and prepared to enter the land. So you have, in a sense, parallel, the old generation organized to enter the land. Did they enter? No. Why didn't they enter? Paul says it for us. What's that? Yeah. Paul uses this phrase because of unbelief. They failed to enter in because of unbelief. The new generation's about to enter in, so we've had a new census, a bunch of more. Do you see the structure of how we have structural stuff beginning and the end of the book, different generations? A generation is now dead, but God's promises are not. He will continue to fulfill His promises through His people if they obey Him. And I think we'll pick up next week with that, so I don't rush too far. We'll pick up with chapter 6. Page 6. I can't write today. All right. Any comments or questions there? All right. Lord, we thank You for Your word. We thank you for your faithfulness to your people, even when they fail to obey and follow you, just as we today fail as well. Lord, we ask that you would use the example of your people in our hearts and lives. Would you encourage us to remain faithful, knowing that you are always faithful. We pray, bless our service to follow in your Son's name.